Channel Y. Channel Y. A South Asian Canadian channel.
Hi, this is Priyanka Chopra and you're watching Channel Y.
The biggest South Asian media group, Y Media. Y Media. Y Media has newspaper, midweek, radio, South Asian Pulse.
Hi, I'm Anita and you're listening to South Asian Pulse.
Hi, this is Amir Khan and you're listening to South Asian Pulse.
अब हर दिन सुने GTA का #1 रेडियो स्टेशन FM 91.9
Television. You are watching Channel Y. Channel Y.
Prime Minister, welcome.
It's a pleasure to be back.
Online, SouthAsianDaily.com. The biggest South Asian media group, Y Media.
This part of the program is brought to you by Midweek Newspaper, published every Tuesday.
Hello everyone, my name is Yudhvir Jaswal and on behalf of Y Media Group, we'd like to welcome our Minister of National Defence for Canada, Minister Anita. Minister, on behalf of Y Media, a very warm welcome on Channel Y. How are you?
Namaste. Thank you so much for having me, Yudhvir. It's nice to see you again.
Namaste, always a pleasure welcoming you, Minister. Minister, why don't we start with the budget first of all? We just seen a little bit of an increase in the budget. Are you satisfied with the amount that has been allocated to the defense?
Well, let's just take a step back. Budget 2022 is focused on affordability, environmental protection, and economic growth. We are investing $10 billion to make it easier for young Canadians to buy a home, and we are lessening the tax burden for small businesses. These are all things that are so important for Canadians, and that's exactly why we're focused on them in Budget 2022. And in addition to that, we are putting forward $8 billion in additional defense spending. That's on top of the 70% increase that we were already going to be seeing between 2017 and 2026. And so, yes, it's a very good day for Canada when we have another infusion into our defense spending. We're going to be spending on increasing the capacity of our Canadian Armed Forces. We are going to be spending on additional military aid for Ukraine. We are going to be spending on durable culture change in the military and also on cybersecurity, which is so important in this day and age because we know that cyber attacks are part of the Russian playbook.
Yes, Minister, that's precisely the reason as the threats are increasing, the global landscape is changing. And last time we discussed about this thing, yes, we have a lot of discussion from our other allies in NATO that it should be around 2% of our GDP. Our Prime Minister is also looking for that sort of commitment, but it's still 1.5% of our GDP. Your take?
My take is that we have to remember that we are the sixth largest contributor in terms of money spent on defense of all NATO countries. In addition to that, we have boots on the ground in NATO territory in a way that other countries do not. For example, we have been leading the Enhanced Forward Presence Battle Group in Latvia for 5 years, together with the UK, the US, and Germany, who also lead these battle groups. We are playing a very meaningful role on NATO's eastern flank. So boots on the ground is one very important point I'd like to make. And in all, Canada is very much punching above its weight. Jens Stoltenberg has said this, and we will continue to make sure that we're doing whatever we can to support the alliance as well as to support Ukraine in this time of war.
Talking about Ukraine and the war, where do you see this war ending? Because despite our sanctions, I do see we've had put so many sanctions, not only as the economic sanctions, the defense sanctions, but Russia is still carrying on with its strikes in Ukraine, and especially in some civilian areas as well. So where do we see this war ending? How do we put an end to this?
It's a very good question and a reasonable question given the horrific nature of the Russian attacks on Ukraine and Ukrainian citizens. The reality is that we don't know what Vladimir Putin is thinking. But what we can do is continue to act as comprehensively as possible in terms of the aid. So that, as you say, is not just sanctions. We will continue to offer humanitarian aid and economic aid and military aid. And on that last point, we have provided over $110 million of military aid to Ukraine. Budget 2022 committed another $500 million in military aid. And so that is what I am working on right now, ensuring that military aid gets out the door. We've already provided hand grenades, Carl Gustav anti-tank weapon system, rocket launchers, cameras for drones, sniper rifles, but there is more to do and more to come from Canada in this area.
All right. You made an announcement recently in Brampton regarding the expanding the infrastructure of electric vehicles. Everybody's looking at that. So tell us something about that.
Sure. I was in Brampton this morning, in fact, to announce a federal investment of $445,000 to build 80 new charging stations. I was with my parliamentary colleagues, Shafqat Ali, Sonia Sidhu, Ruby Sahota, and Maninder Sidhu to announce this investment in charging stations. And why is that important? Because we have to make sure that we are protecting our environment by reducing our carbon emissions. And in fact, our government will continue to provide more access to zero emission vehicles and charging stations that are needed to charge these vehicles in budget 2022 and beyond.
All right. And my last question would be once again coming back onto the your defense portfolio. You're talking about cyber security threats. We see money being spent on this one. But what are the other challenges that you see other than the cyber security threats or any other challenges in the immediate vicinity that you see Canada is facing from the defense perspective?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned cyber. We have to make sure that we are addressing the Russian playbook, and cyber attacks are very much part of that playbook, as we have seen in the area of disinformation and misinformation. Other threats that we have to be aware of course, relate to our Arctic sovereignty and making sure that we have the protections in place through NORAD and through continental defense to protect the Arctic and our country and continent writ large. I've been in talks with Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense in the United States, and we are continuing to discuss the best way forward in terms of NORAD and continental defense. This will include over-the-horizon radar systems and increased surveillance to ensure that our continent is protected.
All right. Minister, you've before I let you go, quickly touching upon, you've had some very interesting meetings. We haven't spoken after that. You were in Europe and met many of your counterparts and so many important leaders. Before I let you go, anything you want to touch upon that?
I will say that all of those meetings with my counterparts in Europe, in Brussels, in Riga, relate to the need for us to maintain our multilateral alliance with fellow NATO countries and to ensure that we are acting in lockstep to condemn the illegal Russian attack in Ukraine and the continued need to protect and help protect Ukraine's sovereignty and security. That is mission critical, and that's what we will keep working on.
Minister Anand, thank you so much for giving us all these details, and thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to chatting in the future as well. Thanks.
Dhanyavad, Yudhvir, and namaste to you and all your listeners. Take care.
Dhanyavad, namaskar. A very warm welcome once again. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You are watching Channel Y. Channel Y, a South Asian Canadian channel.
Hi, this is Priyanka Chopra and you're watching Channel Y.
The biggest South Asian media group, Y Media. Y Media. Y Media has newspaper, midweek, radio, South Asian Pulse.
Hi, I'm Anita, and you're listening to South Asian Pulse.
Hi, this is Amir Khan, and you're listening to South Asian Pulse.
अब हर दिन सुने GTA का नंबर 1 रेडियो स्टेशन FM 91.9
Television. You are watching Channel Y. Channel Y.
Prime Minister, welcome.
It's a pleasure to be back.
Online, SouthAsianDaily.com. The biggest South Asian media group. Y Media.
This part of the program is brought to you by Midweek Newspaper, published every Tuesday.